Okay, so welcome to our Economic Development Committee meeting. Today is May 24th, and we are meeting to discuss what we will be going over at the June 1st meeting with our consultant for the Rapid Recovery um, grant. So, Deb, did you send an agenda along?
I sent an agenda, yeah, both for tonight's meeting and the agenda that he had given me. I don't know if you had seen that. Um, did you get an agenda for tonight's meeting?
If I did, it's been one of those days, so I actually have been working right up until the moment I signed on.
All right, hold
Um,
on. Let me see if I
so
can grab it. It's very short and sweet because I only have us discussing this, basically, this meeting, the outreach meeting. But
okay,
I'll just put it up for you. Just give me 1 second. And that way you can look at it. And then I can put his up next. All right, let's see if I can share my screen. Oh, well, why does it show all that stuff?
that's okay. I have it up here.
Oh, did you get it?
Yeah, our first order of business is to call to order, and so we've got 5:05. It looks like we've got everybody here except for Mr. Kodali, which is something we will
Yeah, we're
need
missing
to.
Jim too. I don't know where he
Oh,
is.
okay. Well, we've still got a quorum, so we're good to go anyway. Not that we're going to be wildly deliberating about anything tonight anyway. Um, and I think we're just going to kind of discuss, we just wanted to make sure that we weren't caught, flat-footed, as it were, when we meet next week. I think the way that we see this rolling out is that we're going to have Philip, our consultant, really kind of take the reins and walk through, similar to what he did with us last week, walk through what the purpose of the local rapid recovery planning grant is, walk through what the format of the outreach will be, what types of things he's looking for, what he'll do with the information, what the next steps are, all of which he kind of went over with us last week. I think, we're going, I assume that Philip is well versed in managing this type of a format, because I think even in person it could be very unwieldy, but I think it will be even more unwieldy virtually, where anything goes. So I think, do you feel comfortable, Deb, that this is something he's done before with other communities, or?
Yeah, and I mean, he speaks well and he seems to be able to field questions well. So I do believe he has a little PowerPoint presentation that
Mhm.
he's going to put together for a few minutes to discuss, different things and show pictures of the existing conditions and whatnot. So I think
Okay.
it'll be, I think, I mean, I just hope he doesn't make it too long, but I don't really have control over that. And hopefully we can get some good feedback. And um, logistically, we've been working with the Whitman Hanson cable station and to get the logistics of how we're going to present this meeting in conjunction with the selectmen, which has been interesting. Um, so I think they have it. I think they have it sort of a hybrid meeting going on where they're going to be able to show the selectmen on the Zoom meeting and you as a select board um, will see all of the participants as well on the screen in the room in the selectmen's meeting room. So because you're going back to in-person meetings as far as my understanding. So I was like,
Yes.
oh,
Yep.
how are we going to do this?
Yeah,
So
it's going to be awkward, I think. I mean, it's going to be awkward anyway because it's our first in-person meeting, and wow, what does that look like? It's been so long since we've done that. So I think we've got that obstacle, but then to have multiple people trying to participate virtually, but you know what? I have full faith and confidence in Whitman Hanson Cable. And
And they've been here. They've been
yeah,
in the building working on it. So I'm excited. I think it's going to work fine.
is Eric able to talk to us about it? Eric,
Yes,
I know
I'm
you're,
here. I'm here. I'm
yeah.
listening.
So Eric, do you have any things that you guys, you folks are concerned about? I know we kind of, threw a bit of a grenade your way trying to get this, up and running in the time frame that, we're
Yeah,
looking for.
the time frame should work. I agree about your assessment that it might be a little bit awkward because, as you say, there's just going to be a lot of moving pieces. I think if you had even that many people in the room, it would still be interesting. And this is obviously kind of some uncharted territory, so it's going to be a little bit of a seat of the pants as we figure out how that's going to work in terms of recognizing people. I think it's probably going to be important who is sort of moderating conversation. You potentially have two chairs because you've got two bodies that are meeting. So I think it'll have to be important to kind of figure out the logistics of that. But technologically speaking, everything everything works now actually, as Deb was describing it. But it's just a little hokey. So we're having the vendor come in on Friday and we're going to tighten up the cabling a little bit more to make it a little bit less hokey, where we don't have to run an extension cord across the room type of thing. So it technologically, like I say, it should be pretty seamless, pretty easy. It's going to be the logistics of how it flows that I think we'll have to
Yeah,
figure out.
that's a good point about the two chairs. I guess I'll have to talk to Matt. I really thought we would more present to the selectmen and
Right.
solicit their ideas, but that they'd be part of our meeting, not that we'd be part of their meeting. But I guess it's going to depend on whether we get through all of our business in an hour and a half or whether
Yeah,
we don't.
that was sort of
So,
my assessment as well.
yeah,
Because I do think that the selectmen tend to, especially where that one is live to cable as well. Like this meeting we have going on here, granted we like things to be kind of gavel to gavel for all of the meetings that we do, but especially when it's live to air, that sort of complicates matters. So hopefully, as you say, things will kind of wrap up with your business there, and you'll just be able to go into that, like you say, kind of presentation mode, and it can just be the next item.
yeah, I think I may even ask Matt if it's possible, if he thinks that the agenda is going to run long, and we don't have the agenda yet. It's in the works, so I don't even have a full idea of what we're discussing. So, anything goes. But I may even ask him if he could start a tad early just to be sure that we're able to wrap up by 7 o'clock with the selectmen's business.
And another good
Because I just
safety,
want there to be like a clean demarcation, like, okay, we're closing the Board of Selectmen stuff and now we're moving on to economic development.
yeah, maybe as a safety would be that if it doesn't look like that's going to time out that way, that, if you're wrapping up the prior item of business at 6:55, maybe a brief recess until 7 to take this in stride. And then, a brief recess again, while you kind of reorganize yourself to go back into your in-person meeting. I think we can take that in stride. But that might be a good kind of backup approach to have in your back pocket.
Okay, all right, yeah, that's sage advice, and I will take that under advisement. That's good stuff. And yes, in terms of my deepest, darkest concern, at least for this item, is the Zoom bombing, and that type of thing. And I assume, without really, telling how the sausage is made, that we have got protocols in place
We
to
do. And
mitigate the potential impact of anything like that.
I'll just say we're using the Zoom webinar platform as opposed to this, which is a regular meeting. So you
Okay.
not only will need to click the link to join, you will need to pre-register. And that's not just the panelists, so to speak. That will be also the participants.
Okay. All right, that's great. I have very conflicted feelings about that. Like because I've had to register for the Zoom webinar, and I'm like, are they restricting my freedom of speech? And like, because one of them that I had to register for, like, I had to give questions in advance, and I'm
Yeah.
like, well, how am I going to know what my questions are if I don't
Yeah.
even, like, I've got to be in the meat of it, in the heat of the discussion, and before I know what my questions could be. So at least I don't think we're getting that aggressive with asking people
No,
to
I
give
don't.
their
If there's
questions.
questions there, there shouldn't be. Sometimes Zoom does funny things, but the most important stuff that we need is the name, the residency, and if there is the thing there about I think it was a question that you're referring to, something about, the topic of your question so we can better organize them. We put that in for one of the school committee, just so that, if there was questions about the budgets, they came up together. And then if there's questions about the operations, those came up together. And for some reason, it's just been sticking to every single form.
Oh,
Hopefully that won't come up there, but if it does, people can just kind of breeze through that. It's not really germane to this conversation.
okay. All right. So okay, that's good. Just in case we get anybody who feels as though their freedom of speech is being
Right.
curtailed. Okay. Dan, and Kevin, I keep wanting to call you Kendall because you're you're on Kendall and Vera Cohen's, thing. So I keep catching myself going like, why? So anyway,
those are my daughter's names, but I'll figure out how to change that.
Yeah, no problem. That's cute.
Yep.
Yeah. So, did you have anything that you were concerned about, or that you wanted to make sure that we covered, or?
No, not at this point. Just want to make sure everyone's questions get answered, like you were saying. So.
Yeah, and I mean, there may be things that on the spot we can't answer, but I do think we need to make a commitment to get back to people. And there may be things that people, that are suggestions that come up that are well outside the confines of what this consultant is going to do, what this committee is going to do, all of the above. So we're just going to need to, kind of put those in the parking lot and, and let people know. I don't want people to feel as though just because this particular grant can't be responsive to that concern or question or suggestion, that we won't at some point take it up. But, this could become extremely unwieldy, which would be a great thing to happen if we get so many ideas that we're trying to sort through them. But yeah, so I think that's one of the things that as a group we need to make sure that we're doing, so that people feel as though we're being responsive. Dan, did you have any concerns or
Nope.
thoughts? Okay.
No, I think we answered everything. Just my biggest concern is just the flow of the meeting and just keeping it on track, and just having that one point person / commentator to kind of help keep the meeting go along. So everyone stays engaged and on track. But other than that, that's it.
So Deb, do you see Philip as being the moderator, or you or me being the mod? Like, how?
Well, I think that Philip's going to do a big part of it, but I was just going to ask you, Laura, do you think you'd be able to, like, sort of, I know, because you have a selectmen's meeting as well, open it and make introductions? So you just,
Yes.
you can introduce, I would introduce the Economic Development Committee, and then Phil,
Yep.
and let Phil do his presentation. And I've told Phil, I think at the last meeting, my concern is that for people to understand this is a planning grant, it's not an action grant, and there's a difference with that. And that's kind of hard to wrap your head around sometimes when you're talking as what you'd like to see happen, but we're just trying to get a vehicle together to get to the action grants. So, but I talked to him about that, and I think he's aware of that. That's going to, he's going to try to make that clear line so that people understand that. So that's where I'm at. And I think we'll let him field the questions, and maybe, or maybe we'll, ask everybody to keep their questions until he makes his presentation, and then let him open it up, and we'll, as a committee, maybe try to respond. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that sounds good. Like, the way I see it going is pretty much along the lines of what you outlined. We introduce everybody, maybe a very brief statement about what the mission of the committee is, just so people can level set, because it's new, and
Right.
and we're still evolving and trying to figure that out. So we'll do a brief statement there. Introduce the members, introduce Philip, kick off the purpose for why we're there at that meeting. And then I kind of, hopefully everybody will behave and, follow the rules of protocol for, participating in that meeting. But if they don't, I really wouldn't see Philip as having to be the one to kind of rein things in a bit. I would step in and just rein that in.
Yeah.
And then I think, what we definitely want Philip to end with is very clear next step. Here's what's going to happen with the feedback you just took the time out of your life to give us.
Right.
So, and then that's, then conclude the meeting. So there were some great ideas on Facebook. I'm hoping that a lot of those people participate in the actual meeting. And, I don't know, Deb, if Philip thinking about potentially marrying this virtual forum with a survey of some sort, or,
I don't think so. No, I think
Okay.
the survey's been done as far as what they're doing. So no, but of course we've been tossing around ideas of a survey for this board to do. So that's something that we could, as a board, we could say, that we're putting together a survey that, when we're concluding the meeting, you can kind of say that that a survey will be forthcoming in the near future, because we don't
Yeah.
have it put together yet and we don't know what that's going to look like.
Well, I was just thinking, if he's going to be asking people virtually, and somebody doesn't have an opportunity to participate virtually, I don't want there to be duplication of the surveys that we've talked about doing. But I don't think there would be, because his is very pointed, like, this is the area that we're working on trying to revitalize, here's the specific things that we're looking for. I just want to make sure that, we're not excluding people that cannot participate virtually, either because they've got a conflict or they don't have the technological ability or whatever. I've worried about that throughout COVID, that voices aren't getting heard, because,
Okay. Well, we've talked about here, and we haven't come to conclusion, but I think that we've talked about setting up an email address for the committee, right? So maybe I can get that done with Ryan and have that email and say, you put that up, people want to reach out with more comments, they can send the email.
Okay, yeah, I love that. I'm sorry to add that onto your plate.
Well, I'm just thinking that way, there'll be then they'll be there, and when somebody has time to respond, we can work on them.
All right, thank you for
It
that.
may be, Rhonda may have already gotten the email address set up. I don't know. I have to check with her.
All right, Kevin and Dan, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think that's great. Just we as a committee have, if we're all having access to it, we just have to, as a committee, decide, who's going to answer it or how we're going to go through the flow of information there. But other than that, I think that's great.
That has been my concern, honestly, Dan, is to try to have one voice and one vantage point, so that it isn't, fractured fairy tales and everybody's kind of doing their own thing. So that's been part of my struggle, even with the business cards, is I know why we wanted to do it, and I think it's a really good idea, but we don't have a full office like the Board of Selectmen do behind us. It's a very, lean and mean little operation we've got going on. So,
Yeah.
We can, I guess, talk through the processes, but at the very least, I guess, for now, if you guys are agreeable to this, we could set up the email for the committee, and then I could go in, because I have to go in anyway on a daily basis and check my Selectmen stuff on a frequently more than once a day basis. And I can always forward the questions to you guys for us to discuss at the next meeting.
I was going to suggest that discuss them at a meeting.
Yeah, and then that way everybody's seeing everything, everybody's chiming in on everything, and we just can't deliberate through email after I send it. Everybody's going to kind of have to keep their thoughts to themselves until we meet. Does that seem, okay for now?
Yeah, that was going to be my recommendation, is just have the chair of the committee kind of manage the emails, not to put too much more on your plate, but I mean, you're in the Selectmen, you're in the, so you're well versed in all the town, endeavors happening. So to have one consistent voice, have one person handling it, and then weigh us in as needed.
Okay.
I think that would be the best way to handle.
All right, I will definitely share the wealth and FYI you guys on everything, and okay. All right, well, good. So that was good. Deb, anything else that you can think of that is giving you,
No,
anxiety about this?
it's not giving me any anxiety, I can tell you that.
I'm glad to hear that.
I feel comfortable with Phil after working with him that he's gonna kind of take the show, and I'm good with that. I'm excited. I think we want to hear from people. And the survey that we did was just for businesses on that area of South Main Street. This is open to the whole town, residents, businesses, even if you don't live in this town, but you have a business in this town, so I think that's really the crux, right? That's where we want it. We want to hear from all of those people that we haven't been able to get to. So I'm excited about it.
And Deb, what's your sense about the participation that we might get from, like, say, planning and ZBA and those guys? Have you gotten any feedback one way or the other, or?
I have not, but I was going to suggest this too. I mean, I might ask Joe Campbell, my chair, because if there's a way, and I have to talk to Eric about making them co-hosts. He's so good on the technology that, like, for me, I don't worry about getting Zoom bombed because he's real quick with everything. So if we can make him a host, he might be beneficial in case you do have any issues. He could shut people down. He could shut it down. But I think we'll get some attendance from multiple boards.
Okay, I sent a little blurb to the Express,
Mhm.
and I've been sharing the hell out of it all over Facebook. And so if you guys can do the same, share with, your sphere of influence, that would be awesome. And I think, Dan, you've been sharing. So anyway, people have been sharing it. And I've been getting a sense that people are going to participate, but I really am hoping that people from town hall participate, because I think I don't really want it to be just residents or just businesses. I mean, the most robust feedback we're going to get is people playing off of each other and hearing each other's ideas. And the only way that's really going to happen is if we get people that have got all these different perspectives. Because if I'm a business and I hear residents say, "Oh, I'd really love to have a bakery," or whatever, I'm just, this does seem to keep coming up, a good bakery. That might make me think about, oh, well, I was thinking about doing this, or, and then I really am hoping that ZBA and planning can be on, just so that they can hear, from what I think we're going to hear from some businesses, some of the hurdles that they've had. So, I just think that we can all learn from each other. And so the more people we've got from these different groups, I think the better and more productive this meeting's going to be. So whatever we can do to drum up participation, I think will be in our best interest.
So I have also, I know Liga Marsh responded to me and said she's very interested. So I've got to
Oh,
put
good.
together the flyer with the link, which I do have the link.
Yeah.
And I was just waiting to hear, which I did get confirmation from Eric that people have to register. So I just kind of want to let them know that here's the link, register before the meeting or something. So I will work on that and get that out hopefully tonight, get the invite so that it can go out with the link now and we can really start pushing it.
Okay, that's awesome. And similarly, I'll get that out on Facebook. I just had said TBD because we didn't have the details when I was putting it out, and I thought I didn't want to wait. I kind of wanted to kind of have people, like mark
Start
their
thinking
calendar
about it,
type of
yeah.
thing. Yeah. So, and I'll get, if you can send me the link, then I'll get the Laura Willis with the Hanson Business Network to send it out to that email. To those email addresses, and that may drum up additional participation.
Right. Yeah, that's what I think. And get it on Facebook. And I want to say even maybe the cable station, there's a way that you can put notices on there. I'm not sure.
I think we just send it to Heather and she'll put it up on, there's like an email address. Well, funny you should ask, Deb.
I know.
There's a little link here that was just shared with us that we can send that info to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think cable. I'm not sure if we can possibly get something up on the town hall sign. I don't know. That does often get booked well in advance, but there may not be anything really coming up in the next week. So you might be able to check with Greer and see if Brian can pop something up on that.
Okay.
Just referring people back to the town website. for that. And also, can we get John or Greer or Ryan or all of the above to put it on the website, to put it on the news section of the website so that people can look at the town website and see that?
I can do my best.
I think that they will put it up there, but
Last time
yeah.
I asked, I forgot who I sent it to, but it got taken care of.
okay, all
I
right.
don't know if I sent it to Greer and she sent it to whomever, but I'll send it to all of them. And I know they took care of it. I don't remember who they reached out to, but they did.
Okay, all right, cool. All right, any other thoughts for soliciting folks and getting other people to participate? Any medium or outreach that you guys think we should be doing that we've overlooked?
Oh, you know what? Today's Monday. I was gonna say I could have put it in the paper, but I didn't.
Well, I did, no, I sent it to Tracy on Friday.
Whitman Hanson Express.
Yeah, Whitman Hanson Express, yeah.
Oh,
And I just said TBD, like look at the town website for the dial-in info because I
Oh,
didn't have
good.
it, so.
Good job, Laura.
They also use for town elections that orange blinking sign they put out on Indian Street by the ball field. So maybe that's another opportunity.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Deb. I think Chief Mix owns that. It's through Highway, but I think Chief Mix is the one to contact about that.
Okay.
So
Alright.
by train, plane, or automobile, we need to get people here to participate. So, okay. Any other thoughts, guys? All right. Well, thanks for joining again on another Monday night. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Do you want to set up the next meeting?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Our next meeting is June 1st, but the one after that?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So we're having a meeting June 1st, so I should post that as a meeting.
Yes, because we're going to deliberate. I mean, we may potentially deliberate as a, as the committee.
Okay.
And then I think we probably should meet, not that I want to pile on to you guys, but are you okay with us meeting that following Monday?
That's
Just,
fine.
yeah. I mean, because I feel like we're going to want to get together as soon as possible after that. And I think delaying it by 2 weeks, I don't know about you guys, but I'll forget some of the more salient details. So,
Agreed.
okay, great. So we'll, whatever date that is, the
7th.
What time?
does 5 o'clock work for you guys?
Sure.
Okay, yep. 5, Deb.
Okay.
right.
I'll get it started and then you can work on the agenda when we get closer.
All right, that sounds marvelous, Deb. Thank you so much.
Right.
All right, so
Okay.
with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
And second.
Okay, roll call. Mr. Bathalon? Mr. Cohen?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. And thank you again, Deb. I really appreciate it and good to see you guys. And we will see you at our meeting on the 1st. All right,
Right.
take care.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Yep, bye.
All set, Eric.